Alright guys, welcome back to Frugal Homestead. And you know what it means when I have safety equipment on, we're about to do something fun. So today we're going to be reviewing the cheapest chainsaw mill attachment you can buy on Amazon. This is going to be a good one. Make sure you watch to the end. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, I actually love chainsaw milling. I know it's not as fast as other sawmill techniques, but now that we're doing more on our property and have a little more time, I wanted to go deeper into it. Now, back in the day, I had one of the Granberg Alaskan mills. I now have one of the knockoff versions, which you'll see in an upcoming video. But I wanted to see one of these cheapies, if it would be viable for some of you that maybe just have a homeowner saw and you're looking to just do a little bit of milling. Now, I need to make some log sawhorses for my bigger sawmill and to hold logs. As you can see, I'm using my sawbuck today. But $20, that's what I paid for that, $20. Now the question is it worth it? You want to make sure you stay to the end because I'll talk about the pros and the cons. But until then, let's get into this thing. Let's mill a little bit of pine. Now, in today's video, my saw will be running a 10-inch grind chain on a Husqvarna 460. Okay, so I will leave links to this chainsaw mill attachment as well as the other one that I use now down in the description box so you can check out and get more information on them and see if you're interested. Now, this is very basic. It adjusts to either using a 2x4 or 2x6, you know, just by changing the holes. Now, I do want to say that if you're going to use this, it's important to understand this is going to be a lot of work. Chainsaw milling is not easy. But in here, you get some tools with this. Here's some basic instructions. You get a wrench to change that. You get another wrench to go on the end here. You need to tighten that up because things do vibrate, guys. It gets pretty crazy. Now, I don't know why they sent me 2 wrenches, but okay. And then, of course, you have your Allen wrench. Now, the Allen wrench is the most important part, and I'll show you why. It goes for where your saw mounts. Can you see that? So there's the 3 mounts. Your bar goes in there and it just press fits. Now, I need you to understand this part because this is how you can mess up your saw, your chain, and your bar. When you put these on and tighten these, you need to crank them down and go round and round in a circle on them, tightening them, tightening them, tightening them. Tighten them and keep tightening them. It's super important that these things are beyond what you would think would need to be snug because it will come loose. And you will hit your chain on the metal of this thing and either destroy this, the chain, the mill. Something's getting tore up. If nothing else, you're left tearing your saw apart and going and getting your chain reground because you will mess it up bad. Okay, so the concept here is it goes on the board and goes this way. Your saw being connected in there will, of course, cut the edge sideways, whereas most mills cut horizontally. This one cuts vertically. And yes, the directions say use it vertically. Now, I know there's some kits that are like this that tell you to cut on an angle, but this is not one. If you try and cut on an angle with this one, your cuts will be crooked somewhat. We actually have tried that. Now, before we get this set up and get rolling here, and I show you how this works, I want to tell you that then this came in, my wife got super excited. And she said, I want to try it. And we had this stack of pine logs. And I said, are you sure, honey? I said, I don't have a chain set for ripping. I said, this is going to be a 30-degree angle chain. It's going to have a lot more jump, a lot more chop. And this mill is pretty much a lot of work. You've got to hold the saw, everything else. I said that extra 30-degree chain is going to make some jump. And she says, I don't care, I want to try it. My wife's pretty tough, so I said, okay. And she did, she milled with it. But she worked her butt off to do it too. Now, she also realized how slow chainsaw milling is. Now, I can tell you now that she is going to want to do way more chainsaw milling, and I will bring videos of that to you guys if you're interested. But to see her face work through that cut, I can just tell you guys right now, she's not a fan of this mill. So when installing this in your saw, you want to make sure that your chain can pass through here without obstruction. So I'm going to move it down just a little bit more, but you want your chain to be able to move without anything hitting. And that's very important, even if it comes loose a little bit. Then you're gonna come over to this side and start tightening and just go round and round and round the circle. Tightening each one and just keep going round and round until it's completely tightened to where it won't turn anymore on any of them. I cannot make you guys understand how important this is, because if anything's gonna fail and vibrate loose, it's here, and that chainsaw will vibrate everything to death. All right, so since this one is a vertical, we don't have to worry about how long our screws are. So we're going to attach our 2x4 to the top. Obviously you might want to do some leveling or some other stuff. I'm making an old set of log sawhorses out of this. So as long as I don't have a bow like in the board too much, it's not going to matter. About the only thing that would probably hurt this is if the board was twisted. Looks pretty good. Now, you do want to have your board overhang. That way you can start in and make your cut and not have to worry about like holding it perfect as you come in and out of your cut. I know that a lot of people use these kind of mills to square up small logs to make posts. Because when you're nailing green wood together, if you have a good structural corner and nail it all together, when it shrinks, it doesn't twist up as bad. So maybe for just doing a couple corner fence posts with this might be useful. I don't know. Enough talk. Let's get to milling. Not bad. Now, as you can see, not the cleanest of cuts. It's important to remember I was using a skip chain that was actually pretty stretched out. That's why I used it. Honestly, the setting is adjusted all the way out on my saw, but I mean, all things considered, it didn't come out bad. Really, there's nothing here that a planer can't take out, but in my case, this is going to be a sawhorse, so it doesn't matter. Now, it does take some energy to hold it steady. Obviously, a better sawhorse setup would be preferable and easier. But two main things. One, put your ear protection in. I didn't. And because of the way the saw is up high, it literally is just blowing your eardrums out. Number two, how you set up your saw matters. Now, that is a 20-inch bar. That log didn't need a 20-inch bar. Use as little bar and as small chain as you possibly can for this, and it'll make it so much easier. Trying to position that weight on this is not real great. That's one of the downfalls to it. But let's talk about the pros and cons of the unit. Pro one is it's cheap. I mean, 20 bucks. And if you had a small amount of milling, I could see it. But I want to say that I spent just over double that on my Alaskan mill knockoff that I have. And like I said, I'll leave a link so you can see what I'm using under this video in the description box. But what I want to pose to you is, why would you buy something $20 when for like 50 or 60 you can get something that's way better quality? Now, if you're just taking this out, like I said, to square up a couple posts for your fencing, yeah, it's great. If you're trying to run 1x material or dimensional lumber with this, good luck. Now, the build quality is good, but I feel like, I mean, and it comes with all the tools you need, but I feel like it's poorly designed in the fact that it works you to death. Whereas chainsaw mills, you kind of want them to do the work for you, to take some of the strain off you. That's why I think Alaskan mills are so popular, because the horizontal design, it carries the saw. With this, you got to carry the saw. That's all muscle. Now, if I was trying to cut with that all day, I'd be exhausted by about 10-15 cuts. So, yeah, not good for that. The one thing I do want to say about it that's got it beat on most anything is, if you're working on something you got a backpack out to, that's tiny. Even if you take my Alaskan mill completely apart, none of the parts get down that small. So I do think it's a good option. I also think it's good for somebody who has a very small saw. This pine log doesn't need a Husqvarna 460 to cut it. You could have a Pull-In Pro with a little .325 chain on it and rip through that. Don't think that you need some big powerful saw. Now, is bigger better? Yes. With chainsaw milling, bigger is better, and that's an absolute fact. And I even have ordered bigger saws because I got some big walnut needs milled. I think for what it is, it's not bad, honestly. And if you're just wanting to learn about milling, start playing with it, 20 bucks is very little to spend on something to play with. Now, it would make a good graduation. So get that, do a few boards with it, get the feel up, be like, okay, I realize chainsaw milling takes a while, let me invest in something better. But obviously, guys, chainsaw mills are never going to outrun bandsaw mills, and you shouldn't expect them to. But when you have to bring your logs to the bandsaw mill versus a chainsaw mill where you can take the mill to the logs, that's kind of a difference, especially on super hilly property like we have. Now, I would like to do some more videos like this, but I need to hear from you guys down in the description, or down in the comments, I mean. Do you like this kind of content? Do you want to see more? As you can see, we got some things going on with firewood this year. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see more about that. And I have a whole pile of pine logs here that I got to cut up because I need to make a couple big log sawhorses for some monster logs I have to mill. And we are not even exactly sure how we're going to pick it up yet. So yeah, I better get to work. But that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you take the time to think about chainsaw milling, because I think that a lot of people are scared of it or do believe that it's too slow. Honestly, you saw that was real time. I didn't speed that up. So between the two camera shots, you saw exactly how long it took to cut this 4-foot pine. Now, it's not a very big log, but how often do you cut giant logs? I mean, honestly, I really think that this could be useful for some people wanting to learn and get started. It's also extremely humorous to watch your wife try and use one. So give her a non-10 degree ground chain, like a 30-degree chain, a standard chain, and just let her go and watch what happens. And then later give her the 10 degree and see how much difference it is and how much she wants to kill you for not letting you do that in the first place. But with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you see all of our upcoming videos. Give us a like if you have time. Comment down below. I want to hear from you. Have any of you guys used these before? Do you guys, any of you plan on starting to do chainsaw milling? And you're going to see very soon why we're doing chainsaw milling and what we're going to use it for. So I will see you in the next one. I better get to work.